and we're glad to have him out here showing his pig this morning. So as we have a few minutes, we'll work through it, and then we'll start with the 4-H program after the open class show.
Well, good morning, everyone. Certainly a pleasure to be here and not only have the opportunity to sort your guys' hog show, but also to work with these young people. Just a single entry out here in the open class division, and the young man's doing an awesome job. And my compliments to him for bringing out his own project out here. And we talked to him a little bit. His pig's name's Franklin. I think he's definitely having a good time out here. And he said his sister has 4 pigs, so mom and dad looks like you might have a lot more than 4 next year with him out here. But definitely a great project for this young man, and certainly doing an awesome job. My compliments to him. Looking forward to getting into the rest of them. If you will, let's put your hands together for this young man on doing a great job with this project.
Good morning, everyone, and welcome to the Gage County Fair 4-H and FFA Swine Show. This morning we're going to kick it off with the H&H 4-H Club, who's going to lead us in our pledge.
You guys got to start saying it after I start saying it, okay? This is... I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
I pledge my head to clear thinking, my heart to greater loyalty, my hands to larger service, and my health for better living. For my club, my community, my country, and my world.
Good morning again. First call for senior showmanship. First call. This morning, we want to welcome Trace Mulligan, our judge. Trace is originally from Scott City, Kansas, and a recent graduate of K-State University. He majored in animal sciences and industry at K-State, and he was a member of the 2020 National Champion Livestock Judging Team, and the high team at the American Royal. Prior to attending KSU, Trace was a member of a livestock judging team at Hutchinson Community College, where he was an All-American. He and his family own and operate Mulligan Show Pigs and raise purebred and crossbred show pigs. Welcome, Trace. Second call, senior showmanship. Final call, senior showmanship. Final call, senior showmanship.
Good set of seniors out here, and we're going to go ahead and bring back 5 of them to resort for our overall. Nothing to take away from you kids that are left out here in the ring. You guys are certainly doing an awesome job out here. Maybe just some little things in terms of eye contact and intensity to work on. Maybe just didn't quite have the control of your hogs as the kids that we're going to bring back and invite back for our overall drive. I thought those 5 just had the best first impression and were the most consistent from start to finish. If you will, though, let's give all of these kids that are left out here in the ring a big hand as we excuse them from the ring. Really excited to sort through that top 5.
First call, intermediate showmanship, group 1. Second call, intermediate showmanship, group number 1. Final call, intermediate showmanship, group number 1.
Really competitive senior or set of seniors out here, if you will. Let's put your hands together for all of these kids. I think an awesome way to go ahead and get things kicked off. And this set of seniors, especially these top 5, you guys are really competitive. And my compliments to you guys. Definitely a pleasure to work through and to see kids that know what they're doing and get coming out here and getting these hogs stuck and getting these hogs shown. I just thought that these 5 were just the most consistent from start to finish. And between those 5, the 2 young men, in my opinion, rose to the top fairly easily, just in terms of showing all of the right angles of their hogs. I think these hogs, in terms of skin and hair, presented properly. And out here, I just love their intensity and their added eye contact and how they maneuver the ring out here. I think it's splitting hairs between the pair of them. And honestly, showmanship is so subjective. And the young lady that's in 5th, tomorrow you could win. And so that's the one thing about showmanship is it gets flip-flopped all the time, and it's so subjective because I think all of these kids are doing a really good job. Just for me, the ones that hit me the hardest, had the best first impression are these two young men. Between the pair of them, I just think there's one that utilized the ring a little more, took a little better turns. Young man to my left, you're going to be our champion senior showman. Young man there with that kind of chromed up gilt. You're going to be reserve. Good set of kids. If you will, let's put your hands together for all of them as their excuse from the ring.
Our champion senior showman was Cooper Levitt from Beatrice. Our reserve champion showman was Carter Holtmeyer from Plymouth. Now entering the ring is intermediate showmanship group number 1. First call, intermediate showmanship group number 2. Second call, intermediate showmanship, group number 2. Final call, intermediate showmanship, group number 2.
Good set of intermediates out here, and we're going to go ahead and bring back these three young men for the overall drive. I thought these three from start to finish were just the most consistent out here, and so my compliments to you kids. I just think in terms of covering the basics, of having control of your hogs out here, is why you're invited back for the overall drive. Nothing to take away from you kids out here in the ring. Obviously, we've got some pigs that are feeling pretty good this morning. It's probably been pretty warm up here in Nebraska like it has been in Kansas, and they're probably enjoying the cool weather and definitely liking to get out and run around out here a little bit. But still, my compliments to you kids. Looking forward to this next set of them. If you will, though, let's give these kids a big hand as their excuse from the ring.
Now entering the ring, intermediate showmanship, group number 2. First call, junior showmanship, group number 1.
Another good set of them out here, and we're just going to go ahead and bring 2 young men back for our overall drive out of this division. Nothing to take away from the kids that are left out in the ring. Still doing a great job. Maybe just don't have quite the control as the 2 young men that we're going to bring back for our overall drive. Maybe skin and hair just isn't quite as on point as those other 2 young men. But still, I think you guys are doing an awesome job, and my compliments to you guys for bringing out your projects today. Good set of them, if you will. Let's put your hands together for them as their excuse from the ring. Looking forward to sorting through our top 5 out here in the intermediate division.
Now showing is our championship drive for intermediate showmanship. Second call for junior showmanship, group number 1.
Really good set of intermediates out here. If you will, let's put your hands together for all of these 5 young men that are out here in the ring. I probably didn't have to take my time quite as much on this set of kids as I did as the seniors, because I think just first impressions of these kids coming into the ring, there's probably a pair of them that hit me awfully hard, and I think surfaced to the top extremely easily in my opinion. But between the pair of them, at the same time, I think there's one young individual that's just so much more aware and so much more seasoned out here. I think the views that he gives of this hog is awesome, and I know you don't always see a kid bring a down-eared one into showmanship, and my compliments to you for getting that one done and that one not giving you any fits. I think you're doing an incredible job out here. If you will, let's put your hands together for the young man in the green shirt. He's going to be your champion intermediate showman. gets a little closer for reserve, but at the same time, I thought just first impressions in terms of getting the hog presented, giving that heads-up look out here, and getting the hog out into the center of the ring and having control. There's another young individual that I think fits right into the lineup and is doing a great job out here. If you will, let's put your hands together for the young man right there in the center of the ring with that predominantly black barrier. He'll go ahead and be your reserve intermediate showman out here. Nothing to take away from the rest of you kids. Doing a great job. These ones here might have just had a little more control than you, but still, my compliments to all of you guys. Really good set of them. If you will, let's put your hands together for these kids as they're all excused from the ring.
Congratulations, Regan Crackey, our intermediate division champion showman. Our reserve champion was Kipton Lovett of Beatrice. Now entering the ring is our group number 1, junior showmanship. First call, junior showmanship, group number 2. Second call, junior showmanship, group number 2. Second call. Final call, junior showmanship, group number 2. Final call, group number 2.
Another really good set of kids out here, and getting into a little bit of a younger age where maybe there's a little bit of a gap in terms of experience and just how many times these kids have probably been in the ring. With that, though, I'm going to bring back 2 young men for our overall drive, and I think just start from start to finish, the 2 young men that we're going to bring back, I just think were the most consistent. They had the most control of their hogs and did the best job in terms of getting those hogs out in front of me and presented, and then doing that with having a little more eye contact, having a little more intensity. nothing to take away from you young kids out here in the ring. I think you guys are still doing a really good job, and my compliments to you for coming out here and getting your hogs shown. Just kind of a couple little shout-outs. Young man there with that gilt, you were real close to making the cut. At times, that gilt just kind of wanted to get away from you every now and then, so just maybe work on that. Work on keeping that one under control a little bit better, but still, I think you have a bright future, and my compliments to you. And then the young lady right here to my left with that belted gilt, I think at times, whenever she gets that hog out and in front of me, she does an awesome job in terms of getting it presented, but then at other times, that one just kind of wants not work for you very well, and wants to kind of go and get closer to the fence. So just work on that. Work on getting that gilt out in the center of the ring to where I can get some better views of her. And nothing to take away from the other kids as well. They're doing a great job, but still, a really good set of them. Excited to get into the next set of juniors. If you will, let's put your hands together for all of these kids.
Final call, group number 2, junior showmanship. First call for our senior division champion and reserve champion. First call also for our intermediate showman champion, as well as our reserve champion intermediate showman.
Another good set of young kids out here in this junior division, and like the first class, we're going to bring back 2 young individuals to sort for our overall drive out here in the junior division. Nothing to take away from you kids that are left out here in the ring. Your Hogs maybe just wanted to work up on you a little bit and maybe weren't the best partners today. You know, you come back, and if you have another opportunity to show later on down the road, it could be a completely different story if your partner just wants to work a little bit better with you. But still, my compliments to you guys for coming out here and getting these hogs shown and presented. If you will, let's put your hands together for them as their excuse from the ring. Looking forward to sorting through our top 4 that we have pinned back over in those pins.
Now showing is our junior division champion showmanship drive. Following the junior showmanship drive will be the overall showmanship awards. We will need our division winner from our senior class and our intermediate class. Second call. Following our showmanship awards today, we'll have Pee Wee showmanship.
Really good set of kids out here. If you will, let's put your hands together for our 4 junior showmen that are out here in our final drive of these juniors. I'm not going to take too much time, and I know a couple of these hogs are kind of wanting to act up on these kids a little bit, and I don't want to ruin it for the rest of the show, and so I'm not going to take too much time. In terms of selecting, your top 4, I think these 4 kids have done an awesome job. At the same time, though, I think there's one young individual that just in terms of having control of that hog, getting that hog presented, showing me those extra angles, and doing things that may be a next level at this age, I think is doing an awesome job. Young man right there to my left with that belted gilt, you're going to go ahead and be our champion junior showman. Let's put your hands together for him. Gets really close, though, to pick a reserve, and I think all of these kids are doing a good job and right on the cusp of them. I just think from a presentation standpoint and getting the hog's head up and getting them shown, at times I know this one maybe wants to drift a little bit and get a little farther away, but I still think this young man's doing an incredible good job. Young man with the calico gilt, you're going to go ahead and be our reserve junior showman out here. My compliments to you. Nothing to take away from you kids. You're doing an awesome job out here. Maybe at times those hogs just didn't want to work with you quite as well and maybe wanted to stop and then restart and go again. So maybe just work on that. Work on getting those hogs driving at a consistent pace from start to finish and not stopping and then restarting. But I still think you two have a bright future, and my compliments to you. If you will, let's put your hands together for all of these kids. Awesome set of them out here.
Congratulations, Wyatt Moat from Pickrell, our first place winner in the junior division. Our reserve champion was Miles Esau from Beatrice. Last call, showmanship, senior division, intermediate division, and junior division. Representing our senior division is Cooper Lovett from Beatrice. Representing the intermediate division, our champion was Regan Cracky. And again, our junior division champion was Wyatt Moat of Pickerel. Let's put our hands together for our championship showmanship drive. Following our showmanship awards will be the Pee Wee Showmanship. First call, Pee Wee Showmanship. As a reminder, today our judge is Trace Mulligan from Scott City, Kansas. Please put your hands together for Trace.
Awesome set of showmen. If you will, let's put your hands together for all of these kids that are out here and all the other kids that had the opportunity to come out here and exhibit in the showmanship drive. I think it's a pretty cool deal to be able to have to select four, I believe, 4 deep out here for showmanship, and so we'll get into maybe some younger age divisions here as we go on down, but nothing to take away from the other kids that have shown out here. I think really competitive from top to bottom, especially at a county fair level. I think the top end of this thing is extremely competitive, and no doubt you kids could probably go on to another level and be extremely competitive. With that, though, I think there's a handful of them that surfaced and do it probably to the next degree and a notch higher in terms of their ability of getting these hogs presented out here, showing me the right kind of angles, having that memorable first impression. I think it's close, and honestly, you know, we have different ages. We've got some younger kids, we've got some older kids, and I think once we get out here, I think that's all a wash, and it's all about who can get their hog presented to the best. For me, though, I think there's one that from start to finish, just so calm, so cool, and so collected, yet still has that ability to get that hog presented and drove and show me the right angles. If you will, ladies and gentlemen, let's put your hands together for the young man out of our intermediate division with that spot bearer. He's going to be your champion overall showman. I thought just in terms of being so complete and the way that he presents that hog was a great way to start off. Young man out of our senior division, you're going to go ahead and be reserve. My compliments to you. Young man that was reserve and senior, you're going to go ahead and be our 3rd overall out here. And then the young man out of that junior division, you're going to go ahead and be 4th overall. Let's put your hands together for all of these kids. Awesome set of them.
Congratulations, Regan Crackey, our overall champion showman. The showmanship awards this year are sponsored by Security First Bank, and let's all thank Security First Bank. It's their 76th year of sponsoring the showmanship awards here at Gage County Fair. Our first runner-up was Cooper Lovett out of our senior division. Our second runner-up was Carter Holtmeyer out of the senior division. And our 3rd runner-up was Wyatt Moat from Pickerel, Nebraska. Last call for Pee Wee Showmanship. Following Pee Wee Showmanship will be our Alumni Swine Showmanship.
Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. On behalf of the Gage County Ag Society, we welcome you to the Swine Show here at the Gage County Fair as we kind of finish off the week. And I don't think anyone would argue that this has been the best weather ever. And it's so much nicer for animals and all of us human beings. So we were really, really happy to present on behalf of the Ag Society all of the Pee Wee showmanship contests. Yesterday in the beef show we had 43 little kids. And I think a large percentage of those will come back in show in 4-H and FFA. So that's the goal of this program. Give these kids a taste for the show ring and get them back and learning and doing in 4-H and FFA. So as we enter the ring, this is a non-competitive event. We have a backpack with a ribbon for each of the participants, presented by our friends at Farm Credit Services of America. We'll do as many as I don't know how many we'll have back there, but we'll let part of them in the ring, and then we'll maybe do a second heat if we need to. So, Pee Wee showmanship, if you're below 4-H age, we'll help you find a pig, and we'd like to have you come and enter the show ring. We do have a small change. We will have the alumni showmanship at the conclusion of the show. We'll keep these pigs and kids as fresh as we can, so we'll finish Pee Wee, and then we'll go into the breeding show.
Go this way. We'll go back over here. Here.
Okay, if there's too many waiting yet, let's close the ring and we'll get them in next. Make sure all these kids have a little bit of space.
If you will, let's put your hands together for all of these youngsters that are out here in the ring right now. I know there's quite a few of them out here, and there's actually some more back there that'll come in and get their opportunity to show. And I would say to have the opportunity and to be able to have two different flights of peewees out here, probably a pretty good thing. And my compliments to all of you kids who are coming out here and getting some experience, and my compliments to all of the people who have maybe like lended a pig to let these kids come out here and show in the ring. Not very often you have to split a class of peewee showmen, so I think that's a pretty cool deal that we're going to have two flights of them out here. If you will, though, let's put your hands together for all of our youngsters that came out here. If you will, they're doing an awesome job.
Congratulations, everybody. As you kids exit the ring, they'll hand you your prize, your bag of goodies. And again, we thank Farm Credit Services of America for sponsoring these awards. So congrats, kids. This is an awesome way to end the fair, and we hope that you have a really good time. We'll get the next group in as soon as we get you kids out of there. Thank you all for coming. Okay, open the gate, group number 2. Here we go. Okay, anybody else, if you want to do peewee showmanship, report to the back area, penning stalls, and we'll see if we can find somebody who'd help you.
Real good set of kids out here. If you will, let's put your hands together for all of these young people. Like I talked, and I guess I pride of these youngsters out here. Pretty awesome to see this many in terms of numbers in a Pee Wee division, and no doubt I think that the future for the Gage County Fair is going to be pretty bright out here in the showmanship division, especially if all of these kids end up showing. You'll probably have a few more ahead here in a couple of years, but if you will, one more time, let's give all these kids a big round of applause as they're excused from the ring.
Congratulations, all the exhibitors, and as always with 4-H and FFA, a huge part of the thank yous go to the families, the kids, the grandparents, the people at home that are helping you. You're working out every day, you're working when it's hot and you're tired, and there's a big pool of people who are in your pocket. So congrats to all the kids and all the families, and kids, once in a while, if you hear this, even if you're as old as 4-H, give a little thanks to your mom and dad for doing all the work that they do to help you, because 4-H can't go without the parents. So thank you all, and on behalf of the Ag Society, have a great fair.
Final call for our breeding gilt Duroc division. First and second call for our class number 2 Poland China breeding gilt division. Now entering the ring is our breeding gilt class number 1. Wyatt Moat, we need your Duroc gilt to the ring. Avery Krause, we need your Poland China gilt. First call for our crossbred breeding gilt division. First call. Final call for our Poland China breeding gilt class. Second call for our crossbred breeding gilt class.
Real good set of Durocs, and a good way to go ahead and start things off with a pair of them that I both think represent quality, but at the same time, they're pretty different in terms of their types and in terms of their kinds. I guess for me, just out here in the breeding gilt division, there's maybe one that's just a little more my speed from a build and a comfort standpoint, and that's the young man's bigger gilt on the far end of the ring. I think a tall-shouldered gilt who's neater about her head and neater about her neck, and then from there back, you know, she's not as bold and not as round in terms of her body shape, and maybe doesn't have quite as much spread, but I think she has more than enough to her. And with that, though, I think as we get these gilts out driving, she's longer in terms of her hip and more comfortable and more flexible there at the surface. I just think a really good place to go ahead and start off. Young man, you bring one that's real stout, and that one's really opened up in terms of her skeleton. That's a big-chested gilt who, as she drives away, has the advantage in terms of roundness of rib and pin width. As that gilt drives right at me, she wants to come in at her knee. She's a little straighter in the angle of her shoulder and maybe just a little more moderate in terms of her size, and maybe just doesn't have quite as much grow to her as the one that goes ahead and wins. But I still think a gilt that's powerful, she's proportionate, and still represents quality. Good place to go ahead and be in second. Good class, if you will. Let's put your hands together for these kids.
Our champion Duroc breeding gilt was Wyatt Mode from Pickerel. Our reserve champion was Trevor Party from Adams. Now in the ring is our Poland China breeding gilt. Last call, crossbred breeding gilts. Last call, crossbred breeding gilts.
Just a single entry out here in our Poland division, and the young lady still brings us a nice kind of a gilt. That's a big scale, big outline gilt who has plenty of extension and plenty of look from the side, maybe in compared to some, maybe not quite as stout in terms of her feature, but I still think that's just a flexible, good kind of a gilt. That's a good place to go ahead and start. If you will, let's put your hands together for that young lady.
Congratulations, Avery Krause.
good class out here, and only 2 entries, but I think both of these gilts represent quality and have plenty of unique breeding pieces. At the same time, though, I just think the one that's just the farthest reaching is the young man's there to my right with that belted gilt. He's going to go ahead and have your class winner. I think a real good, tall-shouldered kind of a gilt who's neat about her head and about her neck. She's still stout-skulled and still feminine up front, and then from there back, in this class, she has the outright advantage just in terms of spread and shape and dimension and just real body shape. And with that, though, still a gilt that can get out and move. Good enough. I'm not going to say her hind leg's perfect, but I still think more than flexible enough and a good way to start. Young man with that calico gilt, I love the rear 2/3 of that female. That's a really good, dense-bodied gilt who has an awesome hip and hind leg on her, and one that from the side still proportions good. For me, a gilt that maybe gets a little straighter in terms of her shoulder in comparison to our class winner, but still a really good gilt for that young man. If you will, let's put your hands together for these kids.
Congratulations, Cooper Lovett, our champion crossbred breeding gilt. Reserve champion was Miles Esau from Beatrice. Now in the ring is our championship drive for our breeding gilt. Representing our Duroc division is Wyatt Moat. Poland China division, Avery Krause. And our crossbred division, Cooper Lovett. Our champion breeding swine awards are sponsored by Beatty Genetics, Kyle and Laura Beatty. You see a big tall guy in the back. Thank Kyle for that award. Our reserve champion breeding swine is sponsored by Nutrien Ag Solution. First call, Market Gilt Division, Group Number 1. First call.
Good set of gilts out here. If you will, let's put your hands together for all of these kids. Maybe not the most in terms of numbers, but I think quality is certainly represented out here in terms of our class winners that we get to bring back out for our overall drive, and had some really good seconds in those 2 classes back there. I think whenever we step out here to select your champion, I think there's probably a pair of them that surface just from a quality standpoint. And at the same time, though, I think just first impression of which one's the most memorable, which one has the most unique pieces, and just the most to them is why this one wins. If you will, let's put your hands together for the young man with that crossbred. He's going to have your champion breeding gilt out here.
Congratulations, Cooper Lovett, our champion breeding gilt.
We dropped that reserve back out here that was in that crossbred division, and a gilt that we love the rear 2/3 of her. She's good in terms of her body type, has a real nice hip and hind leg on her. Maybe wants to fight the young man out here, and I think that works to his disadvantage a little bit. A gilt that we talked in class, I would like to fix her in terms of the angle of her shoulder and how she ties her neck into the backside of her blade. But I still think one that hops right into the mix. I guess it's a little closer for my reserve decision between that calico gilt and the young man out of the Duroc division. I guess for me, though, there's one that just fundamentally I think reads so good in terms of her skeleton. She's still proportionate. She's still practical. Young man with that Duroc gilt, you're going to be reserved. Let's put your hands together for him.
Congratulations, Wyatt Moat, with our reserve champion breeding gilt. Second call, Market Gilt Division, Group Number 1. Final call, Market Guild Division, group number 1. This year at the Gage County Fair, we are separating the barrows and gilts this year, so we will have a market gilt champion as well as a market barrow champion this year. Following that, we'll select an overall market swine champion. Now in the ring is our Market Gilt Division, group number 1. First call, Market Gilt, group number 2. First call, group 2.
Good way to go ahead and start off our market gilt show out here. And for me, I think there's a pretty logical class winner with the young man's chromed up gilt here in the center of the ring. I think a real neat looking gilt who's proportionate from the side. She's short backed, she's good bodied, and just in this class, I just think reads the most unique and the most, and the best in terms of her build. She's tall shouldered, and I love the way that she flexes and drives out here. And with that, you know, for a market gilt, for a market hog show, still has plenty of spread, still has plenty of shape, and more than enough to her. I just think that one, from a balance, a build, and a quality standpoint, needs to win, and needs to win pretty easily. On down the line, maybe gets a little closer, but I guess for me, just in terms of terminal meat animal shape, that's where the young man there with the white gilt's going to go ahead and be second. I think a gilt that's real opened up, and in terms of her lower skeleton, she's fresh in terms of her shape up high, and honestly, young man, that one there probably has a bigger hip than our class winner. As we get out and we analyze that one, from a build standpoint, a gilt that wants to reach out, reach and push on the edge of her skeleton, maybe gets a little frailer in terms of her feature. The other young lady that's going out, that one's going to be third in our class. Another one that's real good in terms of her shape, probably just a little frailer in terms of her structure. And then the belted gilt that's going to wind out our class, long-bodied, extended, and good in terms of her body type, just a little flat and a little narrow. Maybe just need to see a little more muscle in that one. Good class, though, if you will. Let's put your hands together for these kids.
Final call, group number 2. Market Guild, group number 2, now entering the ring. First call, group number 3. Congratulations, Carter Holtmeyer, our first purple in group number 1. With our second purple was Brent Strider of Claytonia. Just a reminder for all 4-H and FFA showers, it is required to wear a show shirt and no club shirts at this show. But just a reminder to use your 4-H or FFA show shirt. First call, group number 3, Market Gill. First call, group number 3. Second call, group number 3. Market Gill, group number 3. Second call.
Good class, and maybe a class that has a little bit more challenge to it, because there's not one that just initially jumps out and grabs your attention and that you initially gravitate to. But still, I think there's one that wins the class pretty easily, in my opinion, and that's the young man with the blue gilt on the far end of the ring. I think that one's combination of just skeletal width, body shape, and having more than enough muscle is why she wins. And then of this class, in terms of having one that has a little more look from the side, that one's still a neat fronted gilt who's tall shouldered and still flexible enough out here on the drive for how much power and shape and mass she has up high. Maybe like to see her come with a little more feature in term at the surface and make her a little stouter in terms of her skull, but still a good gilt for that young man and a logical place to go ahead and start. 2 and 3 gets a little closer, but I think the young lady's blue gilt right here, just from a design and a flexibility standpoint, comes in second. That's a long-bodied extended gilt who has a nice hip and hind leg on her. She actually has more feature there at the surface than our class class winner. But at the same time, Gilt, as you step in behind him, a little flatter in terms of her body type, a little narrow there at the surface, but still an awesome project for you there, young lady. The one that's maybe just more like our class winner from a type and a kind standpoint is the kind of belted gilt that comes out next. A gilt that's really lean in terms of her shape. She's fresh and square out of the backside of her blade and honestly has more turn to her rib and her body than this gilt here that comes in second. But at the same token, a gilt for me gets a little harder in terms of her rib shape and on the drive. Just wants to labor a little bit, like to fix her in terms of the angle of her shoulder, just make her a little more flexible out on the drive. The hog that's going to come out next and being fourth that the young man has, short-bodied, has plenty of power to her, a gilt that's a little rounder off of either ends of her skeleton, maybe a little frailer at the surface, and then on down the line, some hogs that have plenty of muscle and have plenty of shape. We just need to modify them from a build standpoint and a structure standpoint to move up any higher. Good class, if you will. Let's put your hands together for all of these kids.
Last call, Market Guild Group number 3. Congratulations, Miles Esau, our first purple in group number 2. And congratulations to Dayton Dorn for our second purple. Now in the ring will be Market Guild Group number 3. First call, Market Guild Group number 4. As a reminder, all first and second place class winners will be coming back for our overall selection of our Market Guild. A reminder to all 4-H and FFA participants to fill out your premium auction forms by the end of today.
Another good class, and another one that offers a little bit of challenge in terms of piecing things together, because we have a bunch of them that are different in terms of their type and in terms of their kind, and it's kind of like a bag of Skittles out here. Not every one of them necessarily looks alike, but I guess for me, the one that just puts together the most good is the young man's gilt on the far end of the ring. I think that one's combination of being opened up in terms of her skeleton, being good in terms of her body shape, and still flexible enough on the drive is why she's going to go ahead and win this class. Gilt that maybe wants to get a little shorter there out of her hip and a little frailer there in terms of her feature, but still, I just think fundamentally that one there is the best from a market hog standpoint out here. On down the line, it gets pretty close, and honestly, you can pick and choose and go with what you want. I guess for me, the one that just reads the most next practical is the young lady's Hereford hog out here. I think one that's good and soft in terms of her center, that one's pliable in terms of her body type, and stout in terms of her feature. Obviously, a gilt that's a little narrow there in terms of her skeleton and maybe got a little banged up back in the pins, but still, I just think a good, practical, easy feeding kind of one to be there in second. Young lady's gilt on the far end of the ring there is going to be third, and one from a lean shape standpoint has the advantage. That's the bigger chested gilt who's more opened up as she comes right at you, as that one wants to get out and drive. She wants to push on the outside of her skeleton, a little harder in terms of her body type. Just need to fix that one from a build standpoint to move up. Pair of them coming out next that are probably really similar in terms of their kind. They look like they're probably cut from the same mold, honestly. A pair of gilts that are good in terms of their body type and deep in terms of their rib shape. Just need to freshen them up and make them a little more attractive than a long-bodied, big-scaled, big outlined one to go ahead and wind out the class. Just need to give that one a little more fill to allow her to proportion up. Good class, though, if you will. Let's put your hands together for these kids.
Last call, group number 4, market gilts. Last call, group number 4. First call, group number 5, market gilts. And congratulations, Addison Brandt, our first purple in group number 3, and congratulations to Berkeley Beekman, our second purple. Reminder that all first and second place market gilts from each class will be coming back for our overall selection of our market gilt. Now entering the ring is group number 4, market gilts. First call, group number 5, market gilts. First call, group 5. Reminder to all 4-H and FFA exhibitors to sign up for the premium auction. Those forms are due by the end of today. Second call, Group 5, Market Yields. Second call, Group 5.
Good class, and I think the top end, we maybe jump into a little more quality up here, and my compliments to you kids. At the same time, though, I think there's a pair of them that surface pretty easily, in my opinion. In between the pair of them, though, there's one that's maybe just a little more my speed, and that's the young lady's gilt on the left. I think a really tall-shouldered, neat-looking kind of a gilt, who in this class, I just think from a build standpoint, has the outright advantage. She's better in terms of the angle of her shoulder, and as we get these hogs out and drive them, she's still good and flexible out of her hip and hind leg. I think without a doubt that one's square and more flexible from hock to ground and just a little more comfortable out here on the drive. I'm not going to say that one's the biggest chested one we've seen all day, and maybe a gilt that I would like to open up in terms of her lower skeleton, but still a gilt that I think reads with quality. She's flexible and still has enough to her to go ahead and win. Hey, young man coming out second, that thing there is absolutely opened up. That there's a big chested, stout skulled gilt who's awesome in terms of her body shape. I love the spread that she has out of the back side of her blade. That one there's probably the biggest back gilt that we've seen all day, and I definitely appreciate that about her. As we step off to the outside, a gilt that's a little shorter there in terms of her hip, and for me, as she drives right away, I just need to see that gilt be square and more genuine at the surface and the way that she plants her hock and her rear feet. But still, I think that's a really opened up, big-bodied, big back kind of a gilt that's fresh in terms of her shape. I just got to fix that one in terms of a rear skeleton to move her up, but still my compliments to you on bringing a nice gilt out. Really good meat and potatoes kind of a gilt comes out next, and young man, you've done a great job of showing these ones. I think a really dense bodied, stout featured kind of a gilt who's got a big old stout mug on her. She's still good in terms of her shape up high and has a nice square hip on her. For me, a gilt that gets a little plainer in the front 1/3 of her skeleton, and a gilt also. I just like to freshen them up in terms of her look from the side, but still a really good, stout, opened up kind of a gilt that still reads with some quality. On down the line, we go ahead and we start dropping out some of these other ones. I have a really big scale, big outlined one here, maybe a hog that gets a little stiltier off of either ends of her skeleton, and one that would maybe like to just make a little more attractive in terms of her look. And then the belt, or the blue gilt coming out next, another one I think has a really good look and design from the side. We just need to stouten that one up in terms of her feature, give her a shot more muscle. Kind of the same story on down the line. Some hogs who are big scaled and big outlined, just need to give them a shot more feature, give them a shot more muscle to move up. Good class though, if you will. Let's put your hands together for these kids.
Congratulations, Hannah Holtmeyer with our first purple, and congratulations to Trevor Party with our second purple in group number 4. Now in the ring is group number 5, Market Yields, group number 5. First call, group number 6. Reminder, all first and second place purples from each group will be coming back for the overall selection of our Market Guild champion. Second call, group number 6. Second call, group 6. Final call, group number 6. Final call, group 6. First call for all first and second place market gilts from each group. First call for all first and second place purple ribbons.
Real good class out here, and I'll be honest, our top three are the three probably deepest ones that we've seen all day from top to bottom, and I think it's awesome to come out here and to sort these hogs and have some quality up here in the top end, and they're different in terms of their type and in terms of their kind. I guess for me, just from a stoutness standpoint, is where the young man's gilt on the far end of the ring there is going to go ahead and win. I think a stout skulled gilt, who in this class, as she drives right at you, I think has the outright advantage in terms of chest width. That's a big chested gilt who's opened up from their back. She still has plenty of spread and plenty of shape out of the backside of her blade and works back into a big old hip and a big old hind leg on her. My hold up on her is as she drives right away from me, is she just square enough and secure enough out of her hock to be big time good, but I still think she's flexible enough out here to go ahead and use her stoutness, to go ahead and use her added feature and density to go ahead and win. Hey young man, this gilt here from the side I absolutely love. I think that's a tall shouldered gilt who's awesome in terms of her skull and still real neat in terms of her neck. She's fresh and square out of the backside of her blade and has probably one of the roundest rib cages that we've seen in them. For me, for how much power and shape and mass that gilt has up high, I wish she matched it at the surface. I wish she was a little bigger featured and just a little stouter there in terms of her rear leg size. But still, I think that's a really highly presented, good-looking kind of a gilt. It's an awesome place to go ahead and be in second. Young man out here in third, no doubt that there is the best third-place gilt we've seen all day. That's a stout skulled gilt who's actually bigger-legged than the one that goes ahead and comes out in second. She's probably the most like our class winner, just from a body shape and a density standpoint. For me, though, that's a gilt that's a little shorter up front in terms of her neck, and a gilt that's a little rounder there out of her hip. And she, too, as she drives right away from me, just like to square up and make her a little more secure from hock to ground. But that's a highly presented, good-looking gilt who's proportionate and reads with quality. And my compliments to that young man on bringing a really good third-place gilt. Really stout one comes out next in the solid black gilt. That's a stout skulled, opened up kind of a gilt who's big-chested, has plenty of shape and plenty of power. I guess for me, young man, as that gilt just gets out and drives, I'd like her to be a little more flexible in terms of her skeleton. She's a little straighter in terms of the angle of her shoulder, a little rounder out of her hip structure, but still a really good, heavy muscle, powerful kind of a gilt that's made a great project for that young man. On down the line, we go ahead and we drop out some of these other hogs, some hogs who are big scaled in terms of their kind, maybe just get a little flatter and a little narrower in terms of their skeleton to move up any higher. Good class, so if you will, let's put your hands together for all of these kids.
Congratulations, Cooper Lovett, with it first place and second place purple. Now entering the ring is group number 6, market gilts. Please bring your first and second place purple ribbon from each group up to the ring. As a reminder, we'll have all first place purple ribbon from each group compete for the overall market gilt selection this year.
Good class out here, and a good way to go ahead and wrap things up for our Market Gilt show. I guess for me, I think there's a pretty logical class winner in the young man's belted gilt. Real practical, good body kind of a gilt, has plenty of shape and plenty of look from the side. I'm not going to say that one's perfect, and gets a little rounder out of her hip and a little plainer up through her front 1/3. But still, I just think from a quality standpoint and a balance standpoint, that one needs to win and wins in a hurry. 2 and 3 gets a little closer. I think a pair of them that are really similar in terms of their types and in terms of their kind. The one that's going to go ahead and be second, the young man's more predominantly white hog. I think a gilt that's leaner in terms of her shape, and as she drives right away from you, probably has a little more there at the seat of her pants. A gilt that for me, I'd like to make a little stouter and maybe a little more attractive in her look, but still a really good, just practical, basic kind of a gilt to go ahead and be in second. A really extended, long-bodied, easy-feeding one goes ahead to wind out our class with the young man's blue gilt, and this one might not be everyone's kind, but I guess for me, that one is just a good, practical kind of livestock that'll never get you in trouble, really sound on the go. Just need to see a little more muscle in that one to move up any higher. Good class, if you will. Let's put your hands together for all of these kids.
Congratulations, Cooper Levitt with first place purple in Group 6. And congratulations to Braden Humphreys with our second place purple. Now entering the ring is all first place purples from each group. We have 6 groups this year. Competing from group number 1 will be Carter Holtmeyer. From group number 2, Miles Esau. From group number 3, Addison Brandt. From group number 4, Hannah Holtmeyer. From group number 5, Cooper Levitt. And from group number 6, also Cooper Levitt. Congratulations to all these first place purple Market Gilt. This year's Market Gilt champion is sponsored by Beatrice Concrete Company out of Beatrice.
Real good set of Market Gilts out here. If you will, let's put your hands together for all of these kids. I think it's been a really competitive set of them out here, and I think we bring all of these hogs back and our class winners. There's probably a few of them that surface and rise to the top pretty quickly, in my opinion, and between those, I guess it kind of comes down to 2 or 3 of them, and 2 or 3 of them that I think are good in terms of their build, they're neat in terms of their look, and then still do that with adding some extras in terms of stoutness of feature and just presence from the side. And I guess between them, today, there's probably one that's just a little more ready to rock and roll. I think there's one that's got an awfully bright future, and down the line I think we'll give them a run for their money. But today I think there's one that's just a little more 12 o'clock, a little more ready to go. Young man right here in the center of the ring, he's going to have our champion Market Gilt. Let's put your hands together for him.
Congratulations, Cooper Levitt with our grand champion Market Gilt out of group number 5. We will now be selecting our reserve champion Market Gilt. Our reserve champion Market Gilt is sponsored by Pinnacle Trust Services.
We we dropped that second place gilt out, and one that I think immediately hops right into the lineup out here and makes it even more competitive. We talked to her in class about how she's so fresh and good in terms of her body shape. I absolutely dig that one's head and her neck. I think she's real neat about her skull and has some awfully intriguing pieces. The hold up on her was that one just not enough feature to go ahead and run with the one that went ahead and win. And I'll be honest, I think if that one was a little bigger legged, I think she'd beat that gilt that wins pretty easily. But that was the hold up on her. I still think though, in terms of today, which one's ready to go, that one's without a doubt the second best. Let's put your hands together for that young man.
Congratulations to the reserve champion, Mark Hill. First and second call for our Market Barrel, group number 1. Market Barrel, group number 1, be heading to the ring. Reminder to fill out your forms for the premium auction. Those are due by 5 o'clock today. Last call, Market Barrel, group number 1. Last call, Market Barrel, group number 1. Second call, group number 2, Market Barrows.
Good class, and I think a really easy way to find a class winner out here with the young man Terry there to the right of me. I just think a good kind of a show pick out here. That one there is a loose skeleton, flexible being kind of a Vera. He's still good in terms of his body type. You study this guy up high, he's got an awesome back laid into him. He's real fresh and square out of the backside of his shoulder, and with that from the side, I still think represents quality. He's proportionate in terms of his kind. You know, maybe one that for how much he does have up high, I wish he matched it with a little more feature there at the surface, but still, I just think a really good, logical way to go ahead and start off the class. 2, 3, and 4, it gets a little closer in my opinion. I guess for me, I think the one that just has the most good is the young lady's fair here to the left. He's going to go ahead and have be your second place hog out here. I think one that of these remaining 3 that are out here, he's a taller shoulder hog who's more extended in terms of his type and kind. I prefer his skeleton over the 2 that are going to be in 3 and 4. I think he's more flexible on the drive and cleaner in terms of his joint work. One that as he comes and goes, certainly like to open him up and give him a shot more power and a shot more shape. But I just think a big outline one to go ahead and be there in second. The young man that's going to be in third is on the far end of the ring. I think a real good, full-body hog who's got plenty of shape and plenty of power. Just need to fix him in terms of his build. He's a little rounder off the lighter into his skeleton. Kind of the same story for the white one coming out next. Honestly, this bear here might have as much shape up high as any of them that we've seen. Another one, just make him a little more flexible, make him a little fresher in terms of his appearance to move up. Then on down the line, a pair of belted hogs who are very similar in terms of their kind. They look like they have plenty of feedability and been great projects for these kids. Just need to open them up, give them a shot more power and a little more muscle to move up. Good set though, if you will. Let's put your hands together for these kids.
Last call, group 2, Market Barrows. Congratulations, Brecken Niemeyer with our first place purple, and congratulations to Ricky Honsey for our second place purple. Now in the ring is group number 2, Market Barrows. First call, group 3, Market Barrows. First call, group 3. Second call, group 3. Second call, group 3.
Good class out here, and maybe not one that just initially grabs your attention and puts everything together, but at the same time, I think there's 2 or 3 of them that from just a quality standpoint surface pretty easily, and at the same time, I just think the one that puts together the most good is the young man's belted bear there in the center of the ring. I think a real neat-headed, big-chested kind of a hog who's awesome in terms of his body shape. He's probably one of the roundest ribbed and freshest back ones that we've seen all day. That guy gets out and goes, and he's short-backed, he's good-bodied, and still proportions good from this side. I'm not going to say this one's probably ever going to be the biggest thing we're ever going to see in the world, but I still think he's good enough for where he's at today, and I think one that reads with quality and needs to win this class. 2 and 3 gets a little closer. I think there's one that just from a freshness standpoint probably just needs to win or be there in second, and that's the young man's hog there on the far end of the ring. I think a tall-shouldered bear who's extended ahead of his blade. He's fresh in terms of his shape up high. He came in the ring and didn't have any issues in terms of his rear skeleton, but I think probably gave the young man a little bit of issues out here and kind of got a little banged up with that, though. I just like to make him a little freer in terms of his skeleton, maybe a little denser in terms of his type and kind. A young man here with the calico that's going to be third. Hey, that thing's an absolute stouty. He's big-chested, opened up, bold-bodied, has a big old hip and a big old hind leg on him. For me, though, young man, that one there is probably a little too plain. Up in the front, 2/3 of his skeleton. I'd like to make that one just a little more extended and honestly, maybe just a little bigger in terms of his size, but still a really good, stout, opened up one that's highly presented, and the young man's done a good job in terms of skin and hair. 4 and 5 gets a little closer. The young man's kind of Hampshire bear there on the far end of the ring. Tall-shouldered, extended ahead of his blade. He's still good and flexible on the drive. Maybe just runs out of gas in comparison to some of those other ones. Have a really good body bear to come out here next in 5th, who's stout in terms of his skull and in terms of his feature, gets a little plainer in terms of his shape and a little off there in terms of his top line, and then on down the line, some hogs who have some added power and some added shape, maybe just need to make them a little better in terms of their design, maybe make them a little flexible on the drive to move up, but still a really good class. I think a really good top 3, if you will. Let's put your hands together for all of those kids.
Final call, group 3, Market Barrows. Congratulations, Trenton Crackey, for his first place purple in group 2. And congratulations, Kipton Lovett, our second place purple in class 2. Now in the ring is group number 3, Market Barrows. First call, group 4, Market Barrows. First call, group 4. Reminder, tomorrow, Sunday, July 31st, is the premium auction. It begins at 2 p.m. with our Pioneer Farm Family Awards, scholarship presentation, and Parade of Champions. At 2:30, we'll have the recognitions of the $1,000 club, followed by our premium auction starting at 3 p.m. Please come out. After the auction, there will be an appreciation barbecue. Second call, Group 4, Market Barrows. Second call, Group 4.
Good class out here, and for me, the young man's Berkshire hog out here in the center of the ring is where we're going to go ahead and start off. I think just one, in terms of his just basic build and his basic kind, needs to win. I think a really good loose skeleton kind of a hog who's practical in terms of his body type and reads really proportionate from the side. That one's maybe not just the freshest thing that we've seen all day up in terms of his head and in terms of his neck, but I still think he's got more than enough shape, more than enough power to go ahead and win. 2 and 3 gets a little closer, but for me, the young man's kind of solid white Yorkshire appearing hog needs to come next, just from a genuine skeletal standpoint. That one's more opened up at the surface. He's got plenty of shape and plenty of spread up high. In comparison to our class winner, that one there's probably neater about his head and neck and square and trimmer out of the backside of his shoulder, but at the same time, a bear that gets a little straighter in terms of his blade, a little more uncoordinated in terms of his hip and in terms of his hind leg. Calico Bear coming out next, probably one of the best cutting hogs that we've seen all day. He's lean in terms of his shape and has all the power that you can ask for as this guy gets out and goes. So just need to modify him in terms of his skeleton. He's a straighter shouldered bear who gets rounder out of his hip and a little tighter there in terms of his ankle. Another one here comes out next, really good in terms of his shape, really heavy muscled kind of a bear who's got plenty of power. He too needs to be modified in terms of his build. Like to see him just flex and utilize that hind leg a little bit better. Spotted hog coming out next, really practical, good body kind of a bear who's big chested as he comes right at you. For me, that bear needs to be fresher out of the backside of his shoulder. Need to square him up there in terms of his front feet to move up any higher. The hog coming out next, a big outline, tall shouldered hog who's extended, and I like that about that bear. As he comes and goes, just need to open that one up, give him a shot more power and a shot more muscle to move up. Kind of the same story on down the line. We've got some hogs who are practical in terms of their type and in terms of their kind. They look like they might have been some pretty easy feeding projects for these young people. Just need to fix them in terms of their build or give them a shot more look and a shot more design to move up. Good class though, if you will. Let's put your hands together for all of these kids.
Final call, Group 4, Market Barrows. Congratulations, Trevor Party, on your first place purple in Group 3, and congratulations to Miles Esau, second place purple. Now in the ring is Group 4, Market Barrows. First call, Group 5, Market Barrows. First call, Group 5. Second call, Group 5. Second call, Group 5, Market Barrows. Reminder to all exhibitors to sign up for the premium auction. Those forms are due by 5 p.m. today.
Good class out here, and I think a good top 3 to go ahead and sort through, and I think it has some sort, as there's some differences out here in terms of type and in terms of kind. I guess today, just the one that's the freshest and the most genuine from a shape standpoint is the young man's blue bear there in the center of the ring. I think a really good tall-shouldered bear who's still good about his head and good about his neck. From their back in this class, I think from a spread, a shape, and just a density standpoint, he has the advantage, and as he goes away, he's still opened up, still has plenty of power. I just think that one's advantage right out of the backside of his shoulder in terms of being fresh and shapely in terms of his back shape is why that one goes ahead and wins. Young man with the spot coming out next. Hey, I love that one from the side just from a build standpoint. He's good in terms of his presence. I think one that's good in terms of his shoulder angle. He's flexible on the drive and really proportionate. And I guess for me, the holdup on him is that guy just fresh enough today from a shape standpoint and from a look standpoint ahead of his blade. I think that's one that's probably seen a little better days and looks like he's maybe just been held on a little bit and a little staler, but still, I think that there, just from a proportion standpoint, is why he needs to go ahead and be second. Young man coming out next in third has brought a really good set to me today, and I think another bear that still represents quality. I think a long-bodied, extended kind of a hog who's tall-shouldered and has some added stretch to him. As that one goes right away, he's a little flatter in terms of his body type, a little frailer in terms of his feature, but still a good bear for that young man. On down the line, we drop some other hogs out, have a really practical, easy-feeding kind that the young lady brings us. Just need to freshen that one up, give him a shot more power, have a long-bodied, big outline bear there. Just need to make that one there a little more flexible out of his hip and hind leg, and then a really good, easy feeding kind of a bear to wind out the class. Just need to make that guy more flexible, make him a little more attractive. Really good class though. If you will, let's put your hands together for all of these kids.
Last call, Group 5, Market Barrows. Congratulations, Wyatt Mode on his first purple in Group number 4, and congratulations, Regan Crackey on his second place purple. This is the first call for all first place purples in all of our Market Barrow classes. Please have your second place purples prepared and ready. Now entering the ring is our final Market Barrow group of the day, group number 5. Reminder to fill out your premium auction forms. All exhibitors fill out your premium auction forms. They are due by noon today. Second call for all first purple class winners in our Market Barrel division. Please have your second place purple ribbon winners prepared.
Good class, and I think a nice way to go ahead and wrap things up in terms of our Market Bear show. And for me, one that wins this class pretty easily, in my opinion, is the young man's bear there in the center of the ring. I think a tall-shouldered kind of a hog who's neat about his head, he's neat about his neck, as that one drives right at me. He no doubt has the advantage. And in terms of just genuine skeletal width, that's the biggest chested hog who's around us in terms of his body type, and just still does that with representing quality from the side. I'm not going to say that one's perfect, and I'd like to see him get out and go and utilize his hip and his hind leg a little bit better, but still, I think a bear that represents quality. He has plenty of shape, plenty of power, easy way to go ahead and win. A young man right here brings us a real practical, easy feeding kind, and this Yorkshire bear, I think that's a bear that's loose and flexible in terms of his structure. He's pliable in terms of his skeleton. I guess in comparison to our class winner, probably not as neat in terms of his look, not as fresh and square in terms of his shape, but still a really good project for that young man. Blue Pig coming out next is another one that's practical in terms of his type and in terms of his kind. He's good in terms of his body type and flexible on the drive. That's a bear that I'd just like to make a little stouter in terms of his skull. I'd like to give him a little more feature there at the surface to move up, but still a really good pig for that young man. Then on down the line, we've got some real big ones that look like they've obviously fed extremely well, been really easy feeders. They're probably a little different than me. If those guys look at feed, they're probably going to gain weight. Me, I'm going to have to eat about 20 cheeseburgers to gain half a pound in a month, but still, I think those are really good projects for those young men. They're big outline, they have really easy feedability, just need to freshen them up from a shape standpoint and give them a little more muscle to move up. Good class though, if you will. Let's put your hands together for these kids.
Congratulations, Trenton Crackey, on his first place purple in Group 5, and congratulations, Landry Krause, on his second place purple ribbon. Now we'll have the selection of the Grand Champion Market Barrel. Competing from class number 1 is Brecken Niemeyer. From class number 2, Trenton Crackey. From class number 3, Trevor Party. From class number 4, Wyatt Moat. And from class number 5, Trenton Crackey. Congratulations to all these class winners. As we get prepared to select our Grand Champion Market Barrel, we will then follow that with an overall Grand Champion Market Swine. Today's Grand Champion Market Barrel is sponsored by Blue Valley Pork Producers. We would like everybody to welcome Trace Mulligan, our judge today. Trace is originally from Scott City, Kansas, and recent graduate of K-State University. He majored in animal science at K-State. He was a member of the 2020 National Champion Livestock Judging Team and also the High Team at the American Royal. Prior to attending KSU, Trace was a member of the livestock judging team at Hutchinson Community College, where he was also an All-American. He and his family own and operate Mulligan's Show Pigs and raise purebred and crossbred show pigs. Let's give a nice Gage County welcome to Trace Mulligan.
Real good set of bears out here. If you will, let's put your hands together for all of these kids. I think it's been really competitive from top to bottom in this division, and I'm pleased with all of my class winners as we bring them out here. Maybe some hogs who aren't exactly alike in terms of their type and kind, but I think they all have one thing in common, and that's just that they represent quality. And I guess for me, I think quality comes in different shapes and comes in different sizes. You know, we've got some little ones who maybe have a little more of a future, and then we've got some bigger bears out here who are probably a little more maxed out and a little more ready to roll. And so I think it's close. I think it's close between 2 or 3 of them out here. But at the same time, for me, whenever going out and selecting your champion, I just sit back and just ask myself, which one's the most unique? Which one's the hardest to make and has the most unique out there pieces? And I guess for me, that's where the young man's heavy bear is going to win. Let's put your hands together for him.
Congratulations, Trenton Cracky, our champion market barrel. Will now be selecting our reserve champion market barrel, and that is sponsored by Pinnacle Bank.
We dropped that second place bear out here, and I think in class we just talked about how that guy is really good and practical in terms of his type and kind. That one's kind will never go out of style, and I think will always be relevant no matter where we're at in the industry. And my compliments to that young man. I guess for me, it comes down to pick a reserve bear out here. I think it's close between a pair of them, a pair of them that are a little different in terms of their kind out here. We probably haven't seen a perfect one today, and so makes it a little closer, but I think the one that we used to go ahead and win just had the most unique pieces and was the farthest reaching. I think it's really close, in my opinion, between the young man there in the center of the ring with that belted bear and then that kind of blue bear to our left. I think both of them represent quality and have plenty of good to them. I guess today there's maybe one that's just a little more ready to roll. If you will, let's put your hands together for the young man with the blue bear. He's going to be your reserve bear.
Congratulations, Wyatt Moog, with the reserve champion market barrel. We will now have our overall selection of our grand champion market swine. From the market gilt division champion, we'll have Cooper Levitt. And from our market barrel division, Trenton Cracky. We'd like to thank all of the ring help today, helping us in the ring sort and keep track of all the hogs. Thanks to everybody that helped out today at the hog show. Now in the ring is our grand champion Market Swine selection. Reminder, following the Market Swine Grand Champion selection will be our alumni showmanship. Get your pig ready for alumni showmanship. Excuse me, we'll have the pen of 3 selection prior to the alumni showmanship. Pen of 3 following our Grand Champion Market Swine selection. Please have your pen of 3 prepared and ready.
You guys can just Real good set of them out here. If you will, let's put your hands together for all of our market hog exhibitors and just all of our swine exhibitors in general out here. It's certainly been a pleasure to come out here and sort your guys' hog show and then to also work through these with these youth. And my compliments to all of you guys. It's certainly been a quality show from top to bottom. I'm not going to take too much time and spend too much more time out here. I do want to say one thing though. Thank you guys for having me out. It's certainly been a pleasure and been fun. It's always a really good time to come out here to Nebraska. I think you guys always have a really good set of hogs, but on top of that, I think the kids are great, and I think you guys are doing an awesome job in terms of presenting these ones. Just want to leave you kids with one thing. Make sure that as you guys leave the ring, be thankful and thank your guys' parents for allowing you guys to come out here and show these hogs. I don't think there's a better place for you to grow up and to be raised than out here in the show ring and being involved in 4-H or FFA. And so my compliments to you parents for getting your kids involved out here. I think it's been a really good show, and you guys can go ahead and fire these two back up. I think it's been really competitive from top to bottom, and I guess as we get out here and we select your grand and we select your reserve, I just step back and I ask myself, which one's going to be the most memorable and which one am I going to remember as I go and I drive home? I guess for me, I think both of these hogs are really unique in terms of their look and in terms of their design and how they provide some extra density and some extra feature. Out here though, I think there's one that's just a shot denser. I think she's a shot stouter, and I think she's a little more flexible. If you will, let's put your hands together for the young man with the gilt.
Congratulations, Cooper Lovett, our grand champion Market Swine. We will now be selecting our reserve grand champion Market Swine. Our grand champion Market Swine was sponsored by the Leonard Gronwall Memorial, and our reserve grand champion sponsor is Farmers Cooperative.
Had a little bit of mic issues there, but still, once again, thank you guys for having me out. It's definitely been a pleasure. We go ahead and we drop that reserve gilt out here, and man, I think that one hops right into the mix. And we talked in class about how that pair was awfully close, and I think both of those gilts were awfully unique. We talked on this gilt about how we love so many pieces about this one. If she was bigger legged, I think that one would be an absolute hammer. For me though, I think that one there is the second best out here. If you will, let's put your hands together for that young man.
Congratulations, Cooper Lovett, with our reserve champion Market Swine. Again, we will be having the selection of the pen of 3. Please stick around for the alumni showmanship following the selection of the grand champion pen of 3. The pen of 3 will be held in the swine barn. Please put your pen of 3 into one pen. Pen of 3 into one pen. We will have the selection in the swine barn. Following the selection of the pen of 3 in the swine barn will be our alumni showmanship. It's your final call for our selection of the pen of 3 swine that will be held inside the swine barn. Please have your pigs in one pen. Reminder that we have the 4-H and FFA livestock judging contest at 1 p.m. today. There's still time to sign up for all exhibitors. Please sign up for the FFA and 4-H livestock judging contest, 1 p.m. today. Sign up for the livestock judging contest is on the board right next to the show ring.
Just a reminder, swine exhibitors, we will be here at the announcer stand till 12 o'clock. If you have not returned or completed your premium auction form, we'll take them up here. I have a few blank ones if you've misplaced the form you got at the scale. So please don't forget to do that, because we want you to be a part of the event tomorrow afternoon. So premium auction forms due here at noon, up here at the announcer stand. Thank you.
Congratulations to Miles Esau. He was our grand champion pen of 3. Our reserve champion was Dayton Dorn from Adams, Nebraska. We'll take a moment here as the judge is working on taking pictures with our champions. We will follow that with an alumni showmanship, so stick around. This is your first call for alumni showmanship. First call, alumni showmanship.
Attention all exhibitors, please make sure to get your premium auction forms turned in up here to the announcer stand or to the fair office and as soon as possible. The sign up for the livestock judging contest will end at 11:40. If you would like to sign up, it is at the whiteboard by the herdsmanship results. First call, alumni showmanship. First call, alumni showmanship. Second call, alumni showmanship. Second call, alumni showmanship. Attention all exhibitors, please have your premium auction forms in by noon to the announcer stand or the fair office. All premium auction exhibitor forms need to be in by noon to either the fair office or the announcer stand. Alumni showmanship, please be getting your pigs to the ring. Last and final call, alumni showmanship.
pretty cool to have the old-timer showmanship out here. Did things a little different. We had a little speed trial to see which one could win, and I know it's pretty close between a lot of them anyway, so it's a great way to sort them. The one that was the fastest was the young lady on the left. Second's going to be the spot, actually, because that one didn't do a full circle around the first chair, so that one's going to be DQ'd, but still, awesome job there, and kind of cool out here. If you will, let's put your hands together for all of these people.